Hey everybody, Jason Burmis here. And now that Ehud Barak has addressed the Epstein connections, at least in part, with the Daily Beast, and the Daily Beast has done some really great work on this, I think it was worth doing a video and showing some of the other elite connections to Epstein through Barak. Now, what was largely not discussed were his financial ties to Epstein. At the very end, they talk about basically this $2.4 million he gets from Les Wexner, who is Epstein's, main client, supposedly. And by the way, before I go deeper in this, I'm a human being. I make mistakes, and I'm glad that some people point them out. Recently, I've been saying that, for instance, Bill Barr, his father may have hired Epstein. That turns out not to be the case. And then I was saying Dartmouth instead of the Dalton School. So I want to make that clear. I'm a human being. I make mistakes. Please point them out. I don't think you're much of a man if you can't man up to when you misspeak. So back to these gentlemen behind me. Ehud Barak, right now in an embattlement with Benjamin Netanyahu in Israel. The politics has heated up, and some have even suggested, this looks a lot better for Trump against Clinton, and it looks a lot better for Netanyahu against Barak. And Netanyahu has not been shy at poking the bear in this case, to the point where, again, this Daily Beast article is out there, and we're going to read most of it because it's really short. We're going to go down to when Netanyahu is actually talking. And I believe he says that he met him 17 years ago. And what I thought was really interesting was he said he met him through Shimon Peres. Now, Shimon Peres, I think, is a two-time prime minister of Israel, as well as the ninth president of Israel, also served as an interim prime minister. It shouldn't be as a shock that, these guys are running in circles like this, but it would give more credence to the fact that Epstein was, in fact, an intelligence asset, and an Israeli one at that, because we now know about the foreign passport that was expired from the 80s with a Saudi Arabian residence on there. And again, that same Saudi Arabian, Israeli Mossad, American CIA intelligence network, and not all of those, not everybody that was in those organizations, but the compartmentalized units, they worked hand in hand in Iran-Contra and others. So they're also financially involved as well. And of course, Barak basically says, hey, I had nothing to do with any young girls while I was there. I never saw them. And on top of that, they always go to these, we were talking to scientists and intellectuals and professors and having provocative conversations. And Epstein certainly put a lot of money towards those different things, 100%. So that creates kind of a conundrum. Not everybody on that island was involved in pedophilia. Not everybody in his mansion was involved in pedophilia. However, I do think at the bare minimum, if you were there on many occasions, you had to know something was up. And I doubt Barak is being honest in all of his dealings with Epstein. At the very end, they actually mentioned Carbine, which is a streaming media company that Barak started in 2015 and is heavily funded by Epstein. Okay, so, we're going to go through this. He basically says it was 17 years ago, so the early 2000s is when he was introduced to Epstein. The man who introduced me to Epstein about 17 years ago was Shimon Peres. We just went through that. He said he was uncertain if it took place in New York or Washington, but he did recall that many famous and important people were there, including who? The Clintons and hundreds of others. Why are we highlighting the Clintons? Because they seem to be there all the time. And again, Epstein's lawyers are claiming that he helped start the Clinton initiative. Okay? Now, he's claiming that he's been there more than 10 times, or met Epstein more than 10 times, rather, but much less than 100. That's pretty broad. I would have been more comfortable with 10 to 20, 25 to 50, something like that. But come on, if he's an investor in not one, but two of your financial holdings, you've met him more than 10. And if you say under 100, it's probably closer to that number. He says, I've never attended a party with him. I never met Epstein in the company of women or young girls. Now, this kind of broke out for Ehud Barak in 2016 when I believe British tabloids published a picture of an unknown man going to his New York mansion. And it was indeed Barak, and Israelis recognized him immediately, okay? So he says he has only visited the Caribbean island once for several hours, and years after the publications about sex parties or orgies there. I've never been to a party there. So let me just say this. After all the publications, like he's saying, after all this, because again, he started that streaming service in 2015, still doing business with the guy. After all of that, they're still doing business. They don't care. They don't care. The people at the top don't care. If they're not involved directly, they're absolutely enablers. So he's admitting right there, after everybody knew what this mother trucker was, I still did business with him, at the very least. He says, to the contrary, at his home, I met very respected people, scientists, Nobel Prize winners, and I met him also in Boston at MIT or the Harvard labs he supports. So again, think about how invested this guy is in technology and MIT. Think about DARPA at Boston Dynamics. All that stuff is involved in those institutions. Okay? He says he's unequivocally never met any girls, and there's no chance whatsoever. So this is the tale of the Daily Mail publishing him basically at the New York mansion that is now hopefully going to be taken away and valued at $77 million. By the way, when the lawyers in court tried to say he was worth, I think it was $595 million or something like that, the judge threw that out. He wants more of an accounting. He doesn't believe that at all. So, in my previous video, I stated that he was hiding a lot of things and many things were unaccounted for. And that does seem to be the case with this judge. He wants to see more of that as well. Okay, he admits he's in the picture, so what? It's just like, Dershowitz admits he got a massage there and he had his underwear on. So what? So what? Give me a break. Let's see. So, now he's going back with Netanyahu. All that stuff is pretty unimportant. But here is what is important. Last year, an Israeli investigative journalist revealed that in 2004, Barak received about $2.4 million earmarked for research from the Wexner Foundation, an American philanthropy with which Epstein was long associated, that focuses on developing leadership skills among young Israeli and American Jewish citizens deemed to have potential. What does that mean? That means recruit and buy out intellectuals in Israel and America so that they have Israeli ties in business, in the political world, in the media. And yes, possibly, now that we know that there is a good possibility that the evidence suggests that Epstein is intelligence in the intelligence community. And none of this is reaching. All right, follow the money. Follow it. So again, that's 2004. He already admitted in this article that he was doing business with him, or at least meeting with him, after the allegations in the papers. And now we know at the very end, last week, the Israeli newspaper Haaretz revealed that Epstein was a principal, that means primary in the mix in the beginning, investor in Carbine, a video streaming and geolocation software startup founded by Barak in 2015. The extent of Epstein's financial involvement has not been made public, and Barak has since said he is exploring avenues to disassociate himself from Epstein completely. Well, I'm sure he is at this point. So now I want to bring up another guy here, Anthony Weiner. There's Weiner, there's Barak, all right. Big Fish at Trey Billion. He does a lot of great research on this subject and has for quite some time. There's also a bigger story to Big Fish, and if you want to dig deeper, you can find that out. But does great research, and he shows, these guys have been together. Well, Anthony Weiner, again, after 9/11, he said things like this. On September 11th, we, the United States, learned what it was like to live in Israel. This is an Israel firster, and you better believe it. He's a pro-war Zionist guy, and he also happens to be a child abuser, a serial child abuser. Remember this second time? And he's already out of jail for this, by the way. This is in 2017. I like how they say teen. No, 15-year-old girl, and you did it through Skype, and all of the evidence shows that you recorded that stuff because, here, this is some of the Vault 7 stuff that's unclassified where they're talking about looking for CP. By the way, they're talking about how they can't search most of the emails. You know what I'm saying? Oh, no, what do you mean they can't search most of the emails, Jason? Well, let me tell you. Let me see if I can open this image in a new tab. We'll copy the image address. And I've always said this. I mean, everybody says, oh, we know what's in there. We have no idea what was in there because not even the NYPD got to look at everything. A significant number of these 340,000 emails appeared to be between Huma Abedin and Hillary Clinton. The latter who appears to have used a number of different email addresses. This is based simply a review and header information. I did not review content of these emails as the warrant only authorized me to view items that would give me probable cause to believe that CP evidence may reside therein. But wait, there was another catch. SDNY, the Southern District of New York, is comfortable with me continuing my review as I have, which is to not read any emails to or from Anthony Weiner, to his wife, or a possible attorney is a party. So anything that she was CC'd on or anything like that, no. And anything his attorney was involved in, no. Anything Clinton, no. Even if there is a third party on those emails, I will not review their content out of an abundance of caution. Obviously, I will not review any emails to which Anthony is not a party. So now you can't even look at the emails that he's not in. All right? So, it's pretty deep in there. And once again, this guy is a serial offender. And he's out on the streets. He's still in New York. He's doing business. He's trying to make some kind of legal marijuana business now. So, it's one big club. And very few have ever seen justice for it. This guy still has not seen justice, in my opinion. He went to a country club jail and got time off for good behavior, much like Dennis Hassert. And Ehud Barak is spinning a lot of nonsense. He's financially involved with Epstein. It looks like Epstein has intelligence ties. He admits he was introduced to him through the former two-time Israeli Prime Minister, Shimon Peres. Give me a break. These are huge connections. So, folks, if you like my work, if you think it's important, if you dig the 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 videos I'm doing on all sorts of different subject matter, from Epstein to R. Kelly to Nexium to DARPA to Area 51 to ACR, automated content recognition, Google, Bohemian Grove going on right now, AMAs with Dylan Avery and more, Dershowitz, you better believe it. Please subscribe, join the Burmese Brigade. We are growing at a rapid pace, and I can't thank you enough. We'll be doing another AMA at 30K, and at 30K, we're really going to ramp it up. There's going to be a t-shirt shop. There's going to be so much more that we can do. I want to thank everybody. It is officially day 30. Check it out. Created on June 16th, 2019, and it is July 16th, 2019, and we did it. We succeeded. We went a little bit over the goal. I'm going to be taking this down today. And I'm going to be creating a new one for tomorrow, and we're going to do month 2, and we're going to keep this going. And I want to thank you guys so much for allowing me to put out 30 to 50 videos a week with content that matters. So please share this on social media, thumbs it up, ring that bell, and I'll see you guys later today on the flip side.